Well, that's a big question.
We only got a couple of minutes here to answer that, but just to kind of give them an idea. Hey folks, welcome back to The Gifted Ones, and I'm your host, Liz Throb. Have you ever wondered what the term shamanic or shamanism meant? Or maybe you've questioned, what does it actually mean to have a totem animal? Well, today's guest is going to give us all the insight on both of those topics today. Edward Logie, thank you so much for joining us. Shaman, psychic, medium, Edward Logie flows between titles as easily as breathing. As Edward describes it, he dances between everyday reality and the worlds of spirit to bring messages, answers, and healing to those in his community. He's located in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, and he offers shamanic tarot readings, energy work, and life coaching to those in need. Edward is also instrumental in helping his clients connect with their totem animals. He can be reached through his website, thetreeoflifetarot.ca. Edward, welcome to The Gifted Ones. We're so happy to have you here today.
Well, thank you. I'm honored to be here, honestly.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, we've talked about what it is you do. So we're going to start just to kind of open up about what is a totem animal for those watching at home.
Okay, well, a totem animal is, I like to say it's essentially a spirit animal. It's a spirit of an animal that inhabits the body of an animal that comes into your life to share its magic with you.
Cool. Okay, so like if, if you keep seeing random dogs or cats or something, would that be considered like a totem animal?
It really depends on the nature of the connection, the noticing of the animal itself. Okay. There's actually 3 ways that you can become attached to an animal that I'm aware of. There's probably more.
Yeah.
The first one is if you have an affinity with an animal, in your childhood, throughout your life, you just naturally gravitated towards an animal, say like a tiger or a bear or something like that. I would say that animal is definitely a totem animal for you and has magic that it could share with you in your life.
Right.
You can also see an animal every day, but this one seems to attract your attention more. It seems like you're always seeing this one particular animal all the time or quite often. And quite often that means that animal is in your life to share its magic with you.
Makes sense.
Or you could take a shamanic journey, which is always a fun little trip, to go down to the lower world and find your spirit animal there, and you bring it back with you.
Wow, that's very cool. So we're going to unpack all of that right now.
Okay.
Okay, so the first one being, your spirit animal. So like if you're seeing, for example, I have this rabbit that lives, I have a number of rabbits that live in my backyard, but one in particular comes up and stands up at my screen door and sort of looks in, like he's peering in the window all the time. And it's always when I'm in that room. And it's just so funny to me. I'm like, hey, buddy, how you doing? And this rabbit comes like probably every couple of months I see him. Mm-hmm. So would that be considered a totem for me?
Absolutely. Okay. Because it's a specific rabbit. It's not just different rabbits that are doing that. It's always one that you notice.
Yeah, he has the same sort of look to him, like he's got a little bit of white on his back that is unusual. For
exactly, and it's coming back to your back door, like it's attracting your attention. It's trying to get your notice.
Yeah.
So absolutely, that is the spirit of a rabbit that is bringing rabbit magic into your life.
Okay, so and then the next one would be the shamanic journey. So, how does one go on a shamanic journey?
Well, that's a big question.
We only got a couple of minutes here to answer that, but just to kind of give them an idea.
A shamanic journey is essentially when a shaman will leave their body and journey to the spirit worlds. There's 3 different spirit worlds: the lower world, the middle world, and the upper world. Depending on the nature of the question or the healing or answers that you're looking for, will depend on which world you go to visit. So essentially, this shaman leaves their body and takes a journey to one of these spirit worlds to find answers and healing for the client.
That's beautiful. What a beautiful experience that must be. Okay, cool. All right, so now that we know what totem animals we have, so this would be for those watching at home. Maybe could it be? Well, actually, I should ask this first. Could it be a mystical animal that you're attracted to, like a unicorn?
Absolutely.
Say? Okay.
Absolutely. Yes.
So anybody that has like a fascination with, any type of animal, that would be your first understanding.
Yes.
If you have this animal that's coming into your life constantly, so like me with the rabbit, and a fly. I am telling you, okay. So I don't kill things, right? I just can't. I can't. Every
That's
insect
good.
I find in my house, I take it outside. And I have this fly, and they're probably flies and mosquitoes are the two things I'm really tempted to take out. Like, I'm not gonna lie,
I don't blame you.
because they buzz around you, and it drives me 6 ways to crazy. But I don't see this fly until I'm doing a reading with a client, and then this fly comes in and inevitably lands on the client. And, I often wonder if that's a totem animal for me, or is this the way spirit's coming and showing up for them? Any thoughts on that?
Actually, I have a couple thoughts on that. The fact that it happens when you're in a reading,
Yeah.
and it's a fly, I would say it's definitely, insects can be spirit animals as well. They can be inhabited by spirits. So I would say that definitely the fly is a spirit trying to capture your attention. It's trying to, for me, it's trying to tell you that stay tenacious, follow the path, be determined to get to what your true message is.
Right.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that makes a lot of sense. That actually makes a lot of sense to me. So that's very cool. So we know that we could have mystical, real animals that we see every day, but then we could have, animals that we're just literally drawn to, like a unicorn, like a bear or a tiger or any of that. So what do you know what it means to have, say, for example, a rabbit? What does that mean? How do they know what the message is, I guess? Once you figure out what your animal is, like, would you even...
Once you've kind of identified that a spirit animal has entered your life, a great way to learn about the meaning behind that animal and the magic they want to share with you is through a great book, Ted Andrews' Animals
Love
Speak.
that book.
Yes, and I have it here.
Yes, put that up for everybody. That's an amazing book. I consider that a Bible.
Yes, it is a Bible.
Yeah.
It honestly is. It's essentially a dictionary
Yeah.
for all the animals and insects and birds that are out there, and the energy and the magic that they can bring into your life. Yeah, highly recommended.
Perfect. So what would you think it means to have the rabbit, for example?
A rabbit, by its very nature, is a creature of fertility. It's always been known, the rabbit test, and so it means it's bringing fertility and energy into your life, growth, and it could be in the arts, it could be spiritually, mentally. It's a very powerful animal, and a rabbit changes directions constantly.
Right.
So they have the ability to maneuver through any new situation.
That sounds
And
about right.
they leap and they hop. So that means that your life is about to take some adventurous journeys and leaps. You're going to start doing new things.
That's very cool.
And they're very good at freezing and then sudden movement. So they're very good at listening. So you have the natural ability to listen. They're sharing all that magic with you.
That's very, very
in your
cool.
life. Yes.
Very cool. And you can find all that information in there.
Absolutely.
So definitely it's one of those books people need to get if they're following this totem animal energy, for sure.
Absolutely.
So I guess the next thing I would want to know is, you talked about the shamanic journey, and could you kind of explain how is this something that one can do on their own, or is this something they need someone like you to take them on that journey?
I would recommend that you go on a shamanic journey with somebody who's trained in that area.
Yeah, I would feel way more comfortable doing it with somebody. I've never done one. So for the record, that's never happened with me before. So
yes, it's not something that I would jump lightly into.
Yeah.
There are people that do that and have done that, but I don't recommend it.
Okay.
Because it can be overwhelming.
Right.
For the person who's doing it. So I do recommend going with somebody who's trained or has learned how to journey.
That makes perfect sense to me. It would be like, hopping into a car for the first time, never having been trained by anybody. Mm-hmm. You think you can do it, but be under the guidance of somebody who actually knows what they're doing.
Yes.
So here's another. I'm going to jump back to totem animals, because once we know what our animals are, do they remain that for life, or can it change, or can you get more animals joining you?
When an animal comes into your life, it generally comes into your life to share its magic with you, and it stays with you for the rest of your life. There are many totem animals that people bring into their lives, that enter people's lives, and yes, they stay with them for the rest of their lives. But there are times when a spirit animal, a totem animal, will come into your life specifically to bring you a message.
Right.
And then it'll go relatively silent for the rest of your life, or flare up again, later on in life to bring you another message.
That's very cool.
It's fluid. There's no set
Rules or regulations on
exactly.
it.
It is. It's fluid. It's when they enter your life, they never really leave. So once, like the rabbit has entered your life, you will always be able to rely and tap into that rabbit magic if you need it.
Yeah, and it's so interesting because it did come at a time in my life. So it's been sort of showing up in the last couple of years. I think it's the same rabbit because it's got this white mark on its back.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea how long rabbits live for. I'm assuming years, but this thing's been coming up to my window for years. And the interesting thing is, as it started to appear, things started to really shift in my personal journey, right? So it kind of makes sense with everything that you've mentioned, that I'm able to, listen better, be more, I can move on I can change my direction easily and effortlessly, without the fears that I used to carry.
Exactly. Yes.
So it's kind of like letting me know then that, yeah, you're good. This is normal.
Absolutely.
This is all you're supposed to be doing this. That's very, very interesting. So you're a shaman.
That's a very big title to take on.
Right?
It really is, because it has such history and meaning for me.
Right.
That it's hard. I actually find it hard for me to say, yes, I'm a shaman.
I had the same issue when I became aware that I was a psychic. I had such difficulty saying I'm a psychic. Mm-hmm. Isn't it funny?
It is. It's what it means to you, and how a lot of the time it's how you think you're going to be perceived by others, and it's important to let that go.
100%. So, define you as a shaman. What does that mean for those at home so they can understand?
Shamanism, as for me, is always been a way of life. It's been a calling since I was a child. I had a near-death experience as a child.
Wow.
And the spirits came to me like crazy. It was a terrifying and exciting time of my life. It was overwhelming. It was really hard. And with shamanism, there's a lot of struggles that happen in your life. It's not an easy path to follow.
Right.
The person who becomes a shaman is somebody who has struggled immensely throughout their lives and has struggled with spirits, struggled with themselves, struggled with other people, and they have moved towards healing. And now that they've gone on this quest, this journey for healing, they're actually able to help and heal other people.
So the journey or quest is to heal self.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. By learning to heal yourself, you can heal others.
Doesn't that just make perfect sense?
It does.
It certainly does. So where does shamanism or where does this come from? Where does it originate from? What culture?
People often say that shamanism, its birth was in Siberia, actually.
Wow. Okay.
Yes, in tribes
Ancient.
in Siberia. Yes. Yeah. I believe shamanism started at the birth of humanity.
Okay.
And shamanism, shaman are revered and honored and recognized through all tribes around the earth.
Yes.
Everybody has that same sort of similar spirituality, some sort of shamanic legend, if you will. I think that everybody is connected in the shamanic journey.
That's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, is this something that, like, if someone wanted to learn to go on the journey and become a shaman, what sort of steps would they take? How would they do that?
I said it when I talked about shamanism. I said it's a calling.
Right.
So I think to become a shaman, usually there is a near-death experience in your life that has brought you face to face with the spirit world.
Right.
There's usually immense struggle, a lot of healing. There could be abuse, trauma, anything like that has entered your life, that you've battled with those spirits and you've come out on top, you've healed. Some people do choose shamanic practice by their very nature that they're very drawn to it. They're naturally attracted to it.
Right.
I do believe that you can choose shamanism. It doesn't have to choose you all the time.
Right. Right.
So I do believe there is the two methods to embrace shamanism in your life.
That's very interesting. Now, I don't know if this is too personal for you, but would you be willing to share your near-death experience? Because we did a show on that.
Oh, okay.
And it was quite incredible how that was instrumental in starting that particular gentleman's journey. So would you be willing to share your...
Absolutely.
Yeah, awesome.
Sure. Essentially, I had pneumonia when I was 5 or 6 years old. It was very terrible.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, my mother didn't feel that she could bring me to the hospital. And literally over a period of 2 or 3 nights, I was visited by the spirit world. I journeyed to the spirit world. And what I saw was originally terrifying for me.
Of course, you were 5.
I went into the washroom, I looked in the mirror, and all of a sudden I shape-shifted and became a very old woman. My hands were wrinkly. My face was all wrinkled. I had long gray hair. Wow. It was absolutely terrifying. And I started screaming, and my mom came running and I said, I'm old. I don't know what's going on. And then she thought this was strange and put me back to bed. And then I had other visions. I had other spirits come to me. There was these men who were all in white. I shouldn't say men because they were faceless. They were all in white. They were wearing white and they were hard. They had soft edges. They were hard to define.
Right.
Okay. And they came to me and I was aware that was my illness. That was my pneumonia.
Okay.
Yeah. They made it known to me. And then they started walking away. And I really took from that was my illness starting to move past. I have gotten over the worst of it.
Okay.
I also became filled with knowledge, sudden information, sudden messages that I was able to bring back to my family, to my loved ones. And sure enough, they bore fruit. They were true. They were accurate.
Yes.
Accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. So, at 5 years old, this goes down for you. And now all of a sudden your awareness and your knowledge and your wisdom is just expedited.
Yes.
So that must have been very all-consuming
Yes.
as a small little person.
It was.
Now, anybody that's watching at home who is experiencing this type of thing with their child, what advice would you give them that maybe your mom didn't follow for you? If you could be in the room with a new parent that's dealing with this, what could you give as advice for them to help their child cope with this?
First thing, if your child's very sick, get them to the hospital.
Yes. I caught that.
Yes.
I caught that you were a little, upset with your mom for not doing that.
Yes.
Yeah.
But spiritually speaking, if your child suddenly becomes open to this and turned on, so to speak, as a parent, I think it's important that you truly listen to your child and listen to what they have to say and believe them. Believe what they're saying because they believe it. It's true. It's real for them.
Yes.
And you need to really tune in and listen to what they're saying to you. And that's what my mother did, and that's what my grandmother did. Very strong psychics on their own on my mother's side of the family. And so they knew to listen to me. They knew that. But a lot of people don't understand when their child starts exhibiting these gifts and these messages.
Exactly.
That they have to be honored and they should listen to their child.
It's so consuming. It's so overwhelming for somebody
Yes.
A lot of people that I've been talking to with my company, Psychic Kids United, the parents involved may not be psychic or be aware of their psychic gifts. Let's put it to you that way. So when they are, dealing with this seemingly first like they've ever heard of it or been brought to awareness that this even exists, it can seem like outside of their scope of understanding. And
yes.
so all-consuming. They just feel so helpless. It's not
Yes.
like your kids coming to you and going, I have a fascination with football. You can throw them in a football program, right?
Absolutely, yes.
So great advice to just listen and believe them. One of the things that I would also suggest is, allow them to use their creative side and draw out
Oh, yes,
the things
absolutely.
that the visions
yes.
that they're seeing. So then you as a parent also get to see what they're seeing
Absolutely,
and
yes.
from their perspective. But understanding and patience, I think, are
Absolutely.
key, right?
Yeah. And trusting.
Wow,
Trusting your
that's-
child.
Yes, trust in your child. So here you are, this 5-year-old, you're giving these really in depth, awarenesses, wisdom. And how did that get received by the people you were giving it to?
They were afraid, honestly.
Yeah. Of course they were. It's the unknown.
They were afraid because the way I was acting was so out of character for myself.
Right.
You know what? How they knew me, and screaming fits and seeing spirits and bringing messages. It scared them. It did. It scared them. But ultimately, my mother and my grandmother, they knew to listen to me. They learned to listen to what the message was behind things, and some of the messages were really interesting and didn't bear fruit till later on. I told my mother not to trust a certain person, and a year later, sure enough, it turned out that she shouldn't have trusted this person, and things like that. Just they were so fascinating to bring into their lives, and they just really listened to me and they trusted me, and they
Amazing.
told me when things happened. They weren't afraid
so
to
they
share
didn't
it with
keep
me.
it secret from you.
Yes.
That's huge as well, right? For
Yes.
kids, like give them the validation
Absolutely.
that they are on the right track.
Absolutely.
Now, you talked about shape-shifting, and I can't let you get away with not explaining what that is to people, because there will be some people watching going, what is this shape-shifting? I may have heard of it, not really fully understand that. So could you explain to us what that means?
Sure. They're shape shifting on certain different levels, I should say. When you get in touch with your totem animal, the more you become attuned to that animal, you can actually start to do something called shape shifting, where you actually take on the characteristics of that animal. You truly embrace the magic of that animal,
Right.
and you bring it into your own life more personally, more fully. And so people might actually perceive you to be that animal, so to speak. They'll say that person's very fox-like or that person's very rabbit-like. You know what I mean?
Okay.
There's also spiritually, you can shapeshift in your spirit form. When you journey, you can take on different shapes,
Okay.
different animals. It's quite a
So you
interesting thing.
shapeshifted into this old woman.
Yes.
So has that happened to you since?
I would say occasionally. I've actually had pneumonia 2 more times after that.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my
And
goodness.
each time, the people in white that I talked about
Yes.
earlier, I knew I was getting pneumonia because I was visited by them.
Oh my
Yes,
goodness.
yes. And so I like to think that I was able to embrace that magic and shapeshift into that so that I was able to get through the illness much quicker and identify it faster. I remember going to the doctor and saying, I have pneumonia. I need some medicine for this.
I can just imagine. Yeah, sure you do, buddy.
Yeah. But I have shapeshifted, spiritually speaking. I have shapeshifted in terms of becoming a fox.
Wow.
One of my most powerful totem animals, which has really impacted my life for good and sometimes not so great.
So what does a fox mean?
A fox, when the fox came into my life, I started noticing the foxes everywhere. Right. They would run across in front of my car. They would be running alongside my car when I was driving. I kept seeing them everywhere. Or there would be a documentary on foxes on TV or something. So they came into my life, and the fox really shared its magic with me. It enabled me to essentially become invisible if I need to become invisible. I can literally sit in a room and have nobody notice me.
Wow.
I've been able to fly under the radar using this magic. There's also times where I'm able to hear what's not being spoken. I can hear the truth of people before they actually tell me their truth due to fox magic. Or I can make myself larger than life when I need to be.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Well, I've always seen you as larger than life.
Thank you.
You're and I think back to the very first time that I met you. It was at a spiritual Niagara retreat. It wasn't a retreat. It was a meeting for something. And I have a terrible memory, but
That's okay.
I remember you came in and I noticed you right away. I noticed shiny people right away. That's kind of my thing, right? Like, I know you. You and I get you.
Yes.
And yeah, and I remember thinking, like, you're shy. You're a little shy. but you shouldn't be, because you have so much wisdom. So that's interesting that you say that you can go into a space and be sort of,
Yes.
unassuming.
Yes.
And then you can be larger than life. And that's,
Absolutely.
yeah, no, you're a very shiny soul. I see
Thank
you.
you. Thank you
I
very
see
much.
you.
I appreciate that.
What are, so like the shaman journey is all about peace and healing. And would that be correct in
Yes,
saying?
it's finding healing. It's bringing yourself towards healing and bringing your clients, the people who need you, who need your help, bringing them to healing.
Bringing them to healing. So
Yes.
is there some tips at home for those that are watching that they can use from your toolkit, basically, to help them find some healing on the journey? Like, so that if they can't get to you right away, or to a shaman in their area, but they could technically contact you,
Absolutely.
and
yeah.
from anywhere in the world, and you can do this remotely. That's, people need to know that.
Yes. As long as you have the right guidance and you're speaking with the right person who has the right experience, they can definitely help you out. Yes.
Right. So would there be any kind of tips that those at home could have that would help them to start their journey before they got to speak to someone like you, for example?
The spirit worlds are all around us. Spirit is speaking to us all day, every day, incessantly. It's just a matter of becoming able to hear those spirits and feel their messages to you. Your body is embodied by your soul. So your body also speaks to you as well. So in shamanism, one of the first things I learned, which was quite fascinating, was the first and second attention. The first attention is your everyday attention to the world around you. As you're operating, as you're talking to people, as you're working through, your job and everything. It's just everyday attention. But then there's the second attention, which is what the shaman and somebody who's embracing shamanism or spiritually developed starts to notice is things that go on beyond your normal reality.
Right.
Things that go outside your everyday attention. For instance, say you're talking to somebody and you're talking about a new endeavor, something you're looking forward to doing, and then an airplane flies overhead. A shaman or somebody who's spiritually evolved will notice the airplane going overhead means motion. It means a powerful takeoff. It's loud. It's explosive. And that's the message from the universe, from the spirit world, is saying, yes, this is right for you. Take this chance. Go for it. But there's also the first attention and second attention to your body. If you have everyday aches and pains, say you have a sore back, it can be a sore back, but it's also a message from spirit. It's a message from your body telling you that there's a message that you have to learn something. So for instance, I would say your lower back is something that supports you. It gives you strength. It gives you structure. It allows you to stand up straight and move forward. So if you have a sore back, your body is saying to you, you're not moving forward. You're in a position, you're stuck in a rut. You know what I mean? Like there's
a reason why you just said that to me. There's a reason.
Yes.
I've been suffering from lower back pain recently. That's so funny. Like that makes so much sense. I don't know why I never saw it like that before.
It's
amazing.
It's so simple, and shamanism, the shamanic practice is so simple, and it's so psychological on so many levels.
Right.
It never loses. It's timeless.
Right.
It really does. Like when you bring it into your life, it is psychological, it is physical, it is mystical, it is everything.
That's why I guess you call it a journey.
Yes.
Because it's endless, effortless. Like it encompasses everything.
Absolutely. A shaman is on their own journey, always on a journey as well.
That's amazing. And you never really fully complete the journey, I don't think, do you? Like you're constantly
you don't.
in
You're
evolution.
Always learning and moving and growing closer with spirit, yes.
Amazing. Well, this has been really enlightening for me. Thank you so much, and I'm sure for the viewers as well. Edward, we just can't thank you enough for sharing your wisdom today.
Oh, my pleasure.
Well, that wraps up our show with Edward Logie and all about shamanism and animal totems. Be sure to get that book that we showed you earlier so that you can see and definitely touch base with someone like Edward to get the wisdom. If you like the show, please share it. We need to get the word out about all of our episodes to help and enlighten people on their different journeys. And And if you haven't caught the other shows, be sure to go back and check the other episodes, all on different metaphysical topics. It's been my pleasure, and we'll see you on the next show.